Chapter 6, Lesson 3, Solve Equations with Rational Coefficients. You will be able to solve equations with rational coefficients. If the coefficient is a decimal, divide each side by the coefficient. Solve the following equations. 16 equals 0.25n. To get n by itself, we divide by 0.25. So on your calculator, 16 divided by 0.25 is 64. Letter B, 6.4 equals 0.8 m. Divide both sides by 0.8. And you get 8 equals m. Letter C, negative 2.8 p equals 4.2. Divide both sides by negative 2.8. And you get p equals negative 1.5. Letter D, negative 4.7k equals negative 10.81. Divide both sides by negative 4.7. And you get k equals 2.3. Letter E, 1.6k equals 3.2. Divide both sides by 1.6, and you get k equals 2. Letter F, negative 2.5b equals 20.5. Divide both sides by negative 2.5, and you get b equals negative 8.2. Jay's coach agreed to buy ice cream for all of the team members. Ice cream cones are $2.40 each. Write and solve an equation to find how many cones the coach can buy with $30. Well, we need to write a let statement. In this case, we don't know how many cones are being purchased, so let x equal number of ice cream cones. Now let's write an equation. $30 is the maximum amount, and each cone is $2.40, so $2.40 times x equals 30. And you can write it either way. You can write 30 equals 2.40x or 2.40x equals 30. Now let's solve it. Divide both sides by 2.40. So 30 divided by 2.40 equals 12.5. Now we're talking about ice cream cones. He can't buy half of an ice cream cone, so he really can only buy 12 ice cream cones. Letter H. Suppose the ice cream cones are $2.80 each. How many ice cream cones could the coach buy with $42? Okay, so I'm going to keep the same let statement as before, which is let x equal the number of ice cream cones. Okay, and we know we have $2.80 times x equals this time $42. Divide 42, both sides actually, by 2.80. So 42 divided by 2.80 is 15. No need to round, it's a whole number. So 15 ice cream cones. Fraction coefficients. Recall that two numbers with a product of 1 are called multiplicative inverses or reciprocals. If the coefficient in a multiplication equation is a fraction, multiply each side by the reciprocal of the coefficient. So here we have, in letter A, 3/4 x equals 12 over 20. So what it's saying is, what we can do, if we were to solve this normally, it's 3/4 times x equals 12 over 20. We could divide both sides by 3/4. But remember, when you're dividing a fraction, I will not divide, I will multiply the reciprocal. So we can skip that whole division step and simply multiply both sides by the reciprocal of the coefficient. So our coefficient is 3/4. To get rid of it, I'm going to multiply both sides by its coefficient, or 4/3. X equals. Now, if you start with fractions, you should end with a fraction answer. In part 1, we had decimals, so we can end with a decimal answer. However, because we have fractions, I'm going to do my best to end in fractional answers. So we have 12 over 20 times 4 over 3. 12 times 4 is 48, and 20 times 3 is 60. Here we can divide by 12 to reduce, and we get 4 over 5. So x equals 4/5. Letter B. -7/9 d equals 5. To get rid of it, we multiply by the reciprocal. You keep that negative though. So -9 over 7 is what we are multiplying by. Those go away and leave you with d. Here I'm going to put my 5 over 1. 5 times -9 is -45. And 1 times 7 is 7. And this as a mixed number, bring down that negative. 7 goes into 45 6 times, which is 42, leaving 3 left over. So -6 and 3/7. Letter C. 1/2 x equals 8. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. And we get x equals 16 over 1, or simply 16. Letter D. -3/4 x equals 9. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is -4/3. These cancel out to give you x. And here I'm going to put my 9 over 1 to help me multiply. 9 times -4 is -36. 1 times 3 is 3. And that divides evenly to be -12. Letter E. -7/8 x equals -21 over 64. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is -8/7. You get x equals, well, 21 times 8 is 168, and a negative times a negative is positive, so it's positive 168. And 64 times 7 is 448. I know we can reduce this. I believe we can reduce by dividing 8. 168 divided by 8 is 21. And 448 divided by 8 is 56. And here I can still divide by 7. Divide by 7 and get 3 over 8. It's okay that you use a calculator, but remember, if you start with fractions, you must end with fractions. Letter F. Negative 1/2 equals negative 5/18 h. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 18 over 5. Those cancel and leave you with h. Negative 18 times negative 1 is positive 18, and 5 times 2 is 10. 10 goes into 18 once with 8 left over. And I can reduce by dividing by 4. So dividing by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 1 4/5 equals h. Valerie needs 2/3 yard of fabric to make each hat for the school play. Write and solve an equation to find how many hats she can make with 6 yards of fabric. We need to write a let statement. So let x equal the number of hats. She needs 2/3 yard to make each hat. So it's 2/3 times x. And she has 6 yards. So 2/3 x equals 6. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 3/2. Those cancel and leave you with x. And I'll put my 6 over 1. 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 2 is 2. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. So how many hats? 9 hats. "24 students brought their permission slips to attend the class field trip to the local art museum. If this is 8/10 of the class, write and solve an equation to find out how many students are in the class." So let x equal the number of students. So we have 8/10 of the, actually, let me revisit this here. It's number of students specifically in the class. You need to specify because this number up here is also students, but these ones brought their permission slip, whereas these ones, the ones we don't know are how many in the class. Or what we don't know is how many students are in the class. So here we go. 8/10 of the class, which is x, equals 24 students. We need to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 10/8. I'll put that over 1. X equals 240 over 8, which reduces to 30. So our answer here is 30 students, and again, we need to specify in the class. When you have let statements, your answer, more often than not, will be that label. So 30 students in the class.